This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, Julian Assange is freed from prison, a multinational force deploys to Haiti, and an Israeli Supreme Court decision could collapse the government. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Tuesday, the 25th of June, 2024. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been released from a British prison after striking a plea deal with the US Justice Department that will see him able to return home to Australia, putting an end to a dramatic 14-year legal battle. Video was released on Monday evening by WikiLeaks showing 52-year-old Assange boarding a flight at London Stansted Airport, with confirmation that he had left the UK, coming later from Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Assange is expected to travel to Saipan in the Northern Mariana Islands, a US territory, to appear at the territory's US District Court, where, as per the terms of his plea deal, he will plead guilty to a single criminal count of conspiring to obtain and disclose classified US national defense documents. According to the court filing, the location was chosen due to Assange's opposition to travelling to the continental US, and because of its relative proximity to Assange's home nation of Australia. The plea deal, which will need to be approved by a judge, will see Assange sentenced to just over 5 years in prison. However, he is expected to be credited for the time he's already served in British jail, so won't face any new jail time, allowing him to return to Australia a free man. The news has been met with expressions of relief by Assange's supporters. His wife Stella expressed immense gratitude to those who mobilised for years and years to make this come true. However, opponents of Assange reacted negatively to the news. Former US Vice President Mike Pence said the plea deal was a miscarriage of justice, adding that there should be no plea deals to avoid prison for anyone that endangers the security of our military or the national security of the US ever. Now, for context, Assange was responsible for perhaps the largest leak of classified documents in its history, when WikiLeaks in 2010 published hundreds of thousands of classified US military documents relating to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, as well as masses of diplomatic cables. Among these was a 2007 video of a US helicopter killing a group of a dozen civilians in Iraq. However, critics of Assange and WikiLeaks have long said that the publication of the unredacted documents en masse put lives at risk, including those of human sources who worked with US and allied troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. From 2012 to 2019, Assange was holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, avoiding extradition to Sweden on sex crime allegations that were later dropped. Having then been charged during the Trump administration under the Espionage Act and been booted out of the embassy, Assange then spent the next 5 years in London's Belmarsh prison, from where he fought a lengthy legal battle against his extradition to the US, a battle that now comes to an end as a result of the plea deal. Now, there's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like Christian Frinza, then consider joining the TLDR membership program for just $1.99. A UN-backed multinational force will finally be deployed to Haiti this week after considerable delay, with the Kenyan-led force assigned to help the country's struggling police force tackle rampant gang violence. Haiti has been in a political, security, economic, and humanitarian crisis since the assassination of its president back in 2021. Armed gangs have taken over much of the capital, with the crumbling state institutions unable to deal with them. Kenya actually volunteered to lead a multinational security force in Haiti a year ago, and the UN Security Council eventually approved the policing mission in October. However, its deployment had been delayed by legal challenges in Kenya and a deteriorating situation in Haiti, which forced then Prime Minister Oriol Henry to resign in March, later being replaced by a new transitional government hoping to get the Caribbean country back on track. Some 400 Kenyan police officers will be the first to deploy this week, later joined by another contingent of 600 officers. Other countries have also pledged personnel, including Jamaica, the Bahamas, Barbados, Chad, and Bangladesh. The US, meanwhile, is providing funding and logistical support, but will not put any boots on the ground. There are concerns about the mission, though, not least because of the scale of the task, but also because Kenyan police have been accused of rights groups of using excessive force and even carrying out unlawful killings. Israel's Supreme Court has unanimously ruled that the government must start drafting ultra-Orthodox Jewish students into the military, a ruling that may well cause the collapse of Benjamin Netanyahu's fragile ruling coalition. Previously, the long-standing arrangement saw ultra-Orthodox Jewish students at yeshivas, which are basically Jewish seminaries for religious study, be exempt from military service, which is compulsory for most Israeli men and women. There had been a point of tension between the largely secular Israeli public and the ultra-Orthodox community, particularly as the war in Gaza has seen record numbers of reservists called up to serve. The Supreme Court's ruling today said that there is no legal framework for the Israeli government to continue to grant blanket exemptions from military service. The challenge for Prime Minister Netanyahu, however, is that his coalition includes and relies on ultra-Orthodox parties who are staunchly opposed to changing or scrapping the existing exemption and could pull out from and collapse the coalition. Today, EU ministers will meet Ukrainian and Moldovan officials in Luxembourg to start EU accession talks with both candidate countries. At the meetings, the EU will present both countries with a negotiating framework of reforms and legislation they need to adopt before being deemed ready to join. Even though talks are likely to take years, the move is seen as more of a symbolic gesture, especially for Ukraine, which has been fighting Russia's invasion for well over 2 years now. Polls from around the start of the invasion show that 91% of Ukrainians wanted to join the EU, up from 66.4% in 2015. More recent polls show that pro-European sentiment is still riding high, with 92% of Ukrainians favouring EU membership by 2030. EU ministers look to quickly begin accession talks before Hungary takes over the rotating presidency of the bloc from Belgium on July 1st. Now, this is a 6-month rule that allows the country to steer policy priorities in the EU. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has held up several Ukrainian-related decisions, including on the start of membership talks, though he eventually dropped his veto, saying Budapest would have plenty more opportunities to veto the process down the road. EU officials expect substantive negotiations to start under the Polish presidency of the bloc that starts on January 1st. Our final uplifting story today is about a 34-year-old hiker who has been reunited with his family after going missing in the mountains for several days. Lucas McClish had set out on a hike in the Santa Cruz Mountains, California, on the 11th of June, but got lost as several landmarks had been burned down in wildfires. 5 days later, on the 16th of June, McClish was declared missing after failing to show up for a Father's Day dinner. Then, on the 20th of June, McClish was found after witnesses reported someone yelling for help in the Big Basin Redwood State Park. Covered in mud, McClish was reunited with his family, saying he managed to survive by drinking a gallon of water from creeks every day. An experienced hiker and backpacker, McClish said he remained comfortable and wasn't worried despite being lost.
Looking around the political stage, there's a good number of people who are probably eyeing up new jobs at the moment, so it might be a good time for Rishi & Co to grab a subscription to Brilliant. That's because Brilliant is the platform where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI, all of which are important skills whether you're currently in the jobs market or just looking to learn new things. As existing users will already know, Brilliant is a uniquely effective learning platform. Their first principles approach helps you build understanding from the ground up. Each lesson is filled with hands-on problem solving that lets you play with concepts, a method proven to be 6 times more effective than watching lecture videos. Plus, if you are looking for a new job, say you're eyeing up a move to California to get into tech, Brilliant's growing number of programming courses are a great way to build foundations and learn real-world applications. Their courses help you learn essential coding elements, from loops and variables to nesting and conditionals, as well as developing your mind to think like a programmer, building a strong foundation in writing robust programs. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, click on the link in the description. Plus, when you do subscribe, you'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription.